Everyone, thanks so much for packing this room. This is great. Welcome to How Comedy and Satire Can Help Reform the Media. So we have a panel of badasses up here, pure, unadulterated badasses. So let me talk a little quick here. Let's introduce the panel real quick. I'll start with myself because I'm the one standing here. My name is Matthew Filipowicz. I'm a comedian, a cartoonist, a satirist. I just launched my own talk show. My work's been seen on CNN, NPR, PBS, HBO, BBC. Ain't it cool news for the dorks amongst you? Yeah, right? Two of them. All right. Let's see. I've made videos for groups like Vote Vets, The Nation, the ACLU, Center for Media and Democracy, NICET. I actually made a video for the previous NCMR, the one that was in Minneapolis. And I'm a correspondent for Ring of Fire Radio and the host of my new talk show, the creatively titled Matthew Filipowicz Show. Yeah, so immediately to my right is the awesome Sara Benincasa. That's right, give it up, people. You can applaud. We're not talking about Afghanistan here. We can relax and have some fun, you know. This isn't WikiLeaks. Sarah's an award-winning comedian. She's the writer and a talk show host. Her work's been featured in the New York Times, The Guardian, Independent, Politico, the New York Post. The New York Post, really? Posted you?
He loves my shit.
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
I get posted. Like, I'm on the New York Post when they do, like recently they did.
Page 6?
Yeah, it's a biggest whores.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest whores issue. No, they do like, hey, Sarah, what do you think about Snooki? And I'm like, she's crazy. And those are the kinds of things I'm in the Post for. There's
Nice.
never anything political there.
She's also been on Comedy Central, MTV, CBS, NBC, CNN, Wonkette. Give it up for Sara Benincasa, everybody.
Thank you.
Next to Sarah is, of course, Erin Gibson. Give it up for Erin. She's the host of the Planet Lady segment on Current TV's Infomania. She's also been on Parks and Rec, the Aisha Tyler Show, King of Queens, tons of commercials, in addition to be a regular performer for the website Funny or Die. She's also been web series for Comedy Central, the WB, and NBC's The Community. Give it up for Erin Gibson, everybody. Next to Erin is, of course, Katie Halper. Give it up for Katie. She's a comedian, a writer, a blogger, a satirist, a filmmaker. She's based in New York. She graduated from the Dalton School, where she also teaches history, everybody, and at Wesleyan University. Nice. Smart, wonky here. She's the director at Living Liberally and the co-founder of Laughing Liberally. Her writing and videos have appeared in the New York Times, The Nation, Huffington Post, and of course Comedy Central, Gawker, Nerve, Jezebel, and Alternate. Miss Katie Halper, everybody. And the man over there is, of course, Elon James White. Give it up for Elon. Elon's a Brooklyn-based comedian. Is Brooklyn in the house? Nice, all right. He's the writer and host of the award-winning web series This Week in Blackness. He's a featured commentator on Countdown with Keith Olbermann. Well, was it once? Yeah. I just got this off your bio. I'm not making it up. But anyway, he was also been on VH1's Black to the Future and The Great Debate. His work's been on CNN, Comedy Central, Gawker, Daily Kos, Alternate. News, also the New York Post. Really? New York, Murdoch put you on there too? I don't know. Fair enough. Gothamist and the Huffington Post. Give it up for Mr. Elon James White. So from Jonathan Swift to The Daily Show today, comedy and satire has long been a tool, and a powerful tool, to take down the corrupt and the powerful. We all know this. We're at a media reform conference. We all know that the traditional media often horribly, horribly fails at their job, right? Yeah? Okay. Comedy and satire can be something to help fill that void. And again, help. I'm not saying anything here. I mean, the truth is, a good comic can make anything funny. Something that's not funny, big telecoms trying to take away internet freedom, that's not funny. Powerful people oppressing not powerful people, not funny. Giant corporations trying to destroy the internet, not funny. However, all of us up here, I can guarantee, all of us to a T, understand the importance of something like net neutrality. For artists, performers, musicians, entertainers of any kind, the internet has given us, as artists, a way to essentially go around the gatekeepers, the traditional gatekeepers of the entertainment industry. And for the longest time, I personally, myself here, I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for the internet. I wouldn't. So I am someone who has a vested interest, not just because it's the right thing to do, because it is. We all believe it as a justice issue. Of course, it's the right thing to do. But as someone who runs his own business, and as myself, essentially, I need a free and open internet, or I'm not gonna be able to reach people. It's not just net neutrality. It's something along the lines of we need to have high-speed internet to everybody in rural areas, and in minority areas, and poor areas. Because again, it's not just because it's the right thing to do. Because again, it is totally the right thing to do. But again, we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. It's in everybody's best interest to have that. So the question comes about this panel. How can comedy and satire help reform the media? And that is a big question. The thing is, comedy, you need to realize, and the most important thing is, it is not the end-all, be-all. None of us up here are going to say that. We're all just comedians and stuff. However, I like to think, or maybe we'll have disagreement. Intrigue. Comedy, when I think of comedy I think of comedy as, say, it's a gateway drug. It is a gateway drug to issue advocacy. It's a gateway drug. The first one is free. It's shiny. It's funny. It makes you feel good. But then, you have to go to the source to get some more. And that's where all of you come in. You guys are the sources, the people who have issues. You guys are the source. You're the dealers, essentially. We're the pushers. I don't know. There's some kind of hierarchy. I watch The Wire. It's something like that. But so, one more point I want to make that about this is that it's also a very effective tool. And by the way, that's our Twitter handles. If anyone, Twitter people, follow us all. We're all unbelievably entertaining on Twitter. So there they are. And but it's another important thing about comedy and how it can help issue advocacy is that it actually can be, and this is very important in my opinion, it can be a way to help entertain the troops. And like people say the whole thing about preaching to the choir. I mean, we're all, media reformers here, right? But the simple truth is, if your troops are informed and entertained and inspired, they're going to sing better. So you cannot, let that be not important. But so like I was saying, it's a gateway drug. Now, this is a media reform conference, and we all know media reform is kind of a wonky topic, right? So I have lots, the baby knows. So what I wanted to say was that I wanted to show a video of mine that's a little wonky. Well, it's not really wonky, but the topic's wonky. Okay, so it's a little obscure. Do you guys know who Daryl Issa is? Yeah, okay. Yes, he did. Okay, so Daryl Issa, for those of you who don't know, he is a Republican congressman from the state of California. When the Republicans took over the House this last election, Daryl Issa, he became the chair of the House Oversight Committee. Daryl Issa also has been accused of stealing a car. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Okay, now, many of us here are informed. We're informed. This is a group of informed people. I would say maybe half the people here probably know that. Okay, so while we here know that, we can all generally agree this is probably a fact that the vast majority of Americans probably do not know, correct? We can agree with that, right? So not that long ago, Mike Papantonio of Ring of Fire Radio wanted to spread this around, so he hired me to make a video about Daryl Issa and his criminal past. Again, who is now the man who is in charge of making sure the government is not corrupt, is a car thief. So this is a video about Daryl Issa to give an example of how obscure topics can, you can be a gateway drug to an obscure topic. Here we go. Lights, please.
Hello, I'm Daryl Issa. Look, so what if I allegedly stole a car from an army base in 1971? And a Maserati in 1972? And again in 1979? So what if I got arrested for having some unregistered guns? And that I threatened an alarm company manager with a gun? Jack, I want you to look in this box.
But Daryl!
Look in it. You know what that is, right?
A gun?
Yes, Jack, it is a gun. I mean, I don't remember any shots being fired. Why don't you pick up the gun, Jack? But pick up the gun. And ultimately, I made my fortune selling Viper car alarms, using my own voice, of course.
This car is protected by Viper.
I mean, I do have some expertise on that topic. And so what if a fire was set in my Cleveland factory mere weeks after I upped my fire insurance? Look, those prosecutors couldn't prove nothing. And none of that matters now anyway, because, as you can see, I am a United States congressman. Please, 9/11 rescue workers don't deserve any federal money. In fact, I am now the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Barack Obama is one of the most corrupt presidents in modern times. That's right, it is my job to look out for corruption. But hey, you can trust me to do the will of the American people. Well, at least some of them. So, tell me, gentlemen of Wall Street, what regulation should we get rid of today?
Thank you. Again, obscure, again, but it's a way to reach people. Hopefully somebody sees that, they go, oh my God, I can't believe that person's the chair, I can't even say it, the chair of the House Oversight Committee. So, again, that gateway drug, that's the thing, that's what we're here for. Use us. Now I'm gonna go and toss it over to Miss Sara Benincasa, everybody. Sara.
Oh, hey. Hi, guys. So how many of you here read Comedy Central's IndecisionForever.com? Anybody? Yeah, I didn't think so. I blog for them. Who reads Wonkette? Anybody read Wonkette? More of you. Okay, great. I blog for them too, and I'm a comedian, and that's why I'm here. So, gosh, I think that comedy, the jester, the fool, is the one who gets to say things to the king that no one else can, right? So if anyone gets to have the honor of speaking truth to power, it is comedians. And one incredible example of that was when Stephen Colbert did the, what the hell is it called? That thing. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, right. So that's, to me, that is the most amazing example that I've seen in my lifetime of someone speaking truth to power, not metaphorically, but quite literally, right there, right to its face. That's incredibly brave. That's probably the bravest thing I've ever seen. Oh, you can't see me? Okay, well, we're all sitting, and I'm a dwarf, so I'm sorry, a little person, guys.
Stand on the chair.
Can I just sit on the table? I'd like to lay on the table while someone plays a tune. That would be my ideal, sadly, but I will just do this instead. So yeah. I think it is a specific honor that comedians have, and so we to be able to say the things that we say, and I think that we need to be responsible with our words. That said, I am going to say fuck in a room with infants, so that's fine, and my parents, so that's also an honor. They're very glad they paid for all 6 years of my undergraduate education, I'm sure. So I became a liberal because my dad was a Republican and I had daddy issues. And now we love each other, and I made him come here, and I won't point him out in the crowd, but he's the sexy one. Issues? What? Guys, it's gonna get awkward. Let's just strap in and fucking calm down. I do. I guess the first time that I realized that I could do comedy that would have some kind of effect was in 2008. My best friend Diana Saez and I were fucking around one night in, not like fucking around, like that's, done that too, but she was, it's fine, my parents know about it, you guys. Let's just hold each other. We were messing around because we were bored, and the Ethiopian place we had gone to for dinner didn't have dessert, so we came home and ate a bunch of Haagen-Dazs, and this was Labor Day weekend of 2008, and we read about that Senator McCain had picked a running mate named Sarah Palin, who I had heard of because a friend of mine, Danny Carlson, is a journalist out of Alaska, and we were on the. I was working with MTV News at the time on their Choose or Lose team, and Danny was the Alaska reporter, and I was the New York reporter. And Danny had interviewed Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska, and she was like, "She's really cool, man. She's really down to earth, and she's just a really neat gal. Like she's really fun, and I just liked her, and look at this interview with her." And I watched the interview with her, and Governor Palin was cool. She was really fun and folksy, and she was kind of hot, and I was kind of into that. Just like 15%. It's fun, mostly dick-oriented. And I was like, this looks interesting. She seems neato. So I thought, I had heard that Senator McCain had picked her, and I thought, well, that's cool. She had a big old family, and I was like, this is neat. So we started looking up more about Governor Palin, because that's what we do on Saturday nights, and we were like, holy shit, this bitch is crazy. And I say that as a feminist. So we decided to start doing these videos, and we put one up, and it just went nuts and went viral, and we started doing more and more. And then at the time, the Huffington Post had a site called 236.com, and they eventually died, probably because they paid thousands of dollars to assholes like me and Diana to make videos. And so they saw our videos, and they liked it, and we signed a contract with them, and they paid us lots of money that they shouldn't have. And we just made these Sarah Palin videos. So it went nuts, and it got a lot of exposure, and that was my first experience. And people, the best thing was getting emails from people in Alaska who were like, thank you for doing this. And this was a few months, I guess, this was a month to 6 weeks before SNL premiered. So at that time, we were filling a void that wasn't there because there wasn't someone who on the national scene was doing this impression. There were a few someones online, but because ours got the most attention, we got to be the most seen. And so it was really interesting, and also getting emails from inside the Obama campaign and inside the Clinton campaign were really neat. Not the Clinton campaign, I'm sorry. Inside the Obama campaign was really neat because they were like, please don't, this is off the record, but we really like your videos, but don't tell anyone who I work for. I'm sending this from my Gmail account, don't tell anyone. I was like, okay. And which was really great. And that's also how I got to know, because we were featured by a lot of progressive media, that's how I got to really have an awakening about the great progressive media that was out there. So it was through wholly selfish, narcissistic comedian actress reasons that, that I got to know that progressive media wasn't just my favorites, Mother Jones and The Nation, but that there were other resources out there. And so that was our first experience with that. And so then I started blogging for Wonkette and for Comedy Central and Marie Claire, obviously, super progressive guys. 15 diet tips so your boyfriend won't hate you. I can do that too. I'll do it all. But yeah, and so then I learned about someone named Michelle Bachmann, and I was like, well, she sounds fun, and man, is she. And so now I do Michelle Bachmann stuff too. And people are like, do you think is it sexist, like that you're just only parodying women? And I'm like, no, it's because I have a pussy and tits. Like, who am I gonna parody? I would do a Clarence Thomas impression if that wasn't racist and awkward. Like, I'm gonna pretend to be women, and I'm probably gonna pretend to be women whose politics I don't like because I'm a satirist and I want to make fun of those things. And so what we're gonna show now is a Michelle Bachmann video that I did recently.
Lights, please.
Hello, I'm Representative Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota's 6th District, and I'm so excited to be talking to you from my new campaign headquarters. That's right, I'm running for president in 2012. And I'm gonna win, but not without your help. And in order to better help you understand how to better help me become president so I can better help me, better help all of us, I'd like to share with you a few things that I've learned about the man that I love the most on this earth or any other, Jesus Christ. You see, I know Jesus in a way that you don't. And I like to tell you exactly what Jesus thinks, wants, and says we should do. Generally speaking, what Jesus says, wants, and thinks we should do has to do with benefiting me. So here we go. My vision of Christ's love is that of a man and a God all at once who believes that every homosexual who desires to live in peace and harmony with his or her chosen life partner and raise happy, functioning, educated children to become healthy, happy contributors to society should burn in hell until, after an eternity, they're just a little pile of ash that's still sentient and therefore can still feel Satan's pitchfork just stabbing it and penetrating it over and over again. I'll give you another vision of God's love. God's love is forcing your 10-year-old daughter to bear the child of her Girl Scout troop leader's husband who rapes her on a sleepaway camp adventure where he is the co-chaperone. Seriously, I think that she should have to have that baby, even in that case. Come up with whatever case you want. I think she should have to have the baby. She's 8, have the baby. She's 25, have the baby. It was a rape in an alleyway. It was a date rape. What's she doing going on dates anyway? That's what Jesus wants. The babies of rape. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I hope I've given you a good snapshot of the kind of stuff that I'm into. You can visit me at www.rapebabiesAreAwesome.com. Or you can just Google Michelle Bachman to learn more about the awesome things that I have to say. Hold on. Oh, God. I'm trying out a new look. Is it good? Do you think? No. I look cuter this way. Goodbye.
Give it up for Sara Benincasa, everybody. All right, coming up next, Erin Gibson. Give it up for everyone.
Another lady. Hi, everybody. You may have seen me last night. I host a segment called Modern Lady on Infomania, which is on Current TV, which is a network that you can get if you call Time Warner and beg for it. So I came from this a completely different way. I was an actor in stand-up, and I got pretty disillusioned with the roles that I was going out for and how much my boobs were important in those roles, and how much you'd have to see my boobs in order for me to move on. So I started writing and doing stuff with UCB Theater in Los Angeles, and then I found out about this job at Infomania, which my predecessor Sarah Haskins used to host. Maybe you know Target Women. Yeah, she did a phenomenal job, and there was a she was gone for 9 months, and under lady pressure, they replaced her with another lady, because that makes sense. And part of the thing I wanted to do differently than Sarah was I wanted to make sure that I had the power to not just talk about commercials, which is what she did, not just talk about politics, but also other, just everything that the media says to women. I wanted to cover it because I just think there's so much out there to just focus on commercials or politics. I didn't think it was a good spectrum of what I could do. So I have done like a piece on bridalplasty, which is a delightful show if you like watching women fight over who's going to get a nose job so that they can have the perfect wedding. I did one on how the media tells women to dress at work. So it really covers a lot. So last night you saw two of my more political pieces. Today I want to show you a piece that that I wasn't allowed to do for a long time because the person who used to run our show said it was vulgar. But I wanted to talk about stuff that people want you to buy for your vagina. Because there's a lot of vagina products. And sometimes I feel like part of being a comedian in this arena is not. Sometimes I'm not even telling jokes. I'm just going, look at this. Look at all these things for our vagina, and just backing them up, like putting them in a segment one after the other, and you're seeing them not in between reruns of Charles in Charge. But you're seeing them all together and seeing how many there are and what the message is. So this one came out on Thursday, and yeah, it's just vagina stuff.
Lights, please.
Modern lady.
There's two things that go inside vaginas: penises and anything a company can sell you. Where did it all start? Douches.
Okay, Mom, which hand has the newest idea on douches? Wrong. 2 Massengill vinegar and water douches?
That's 2 douches too many. Did you know the inside of our baby ovens are self-cleaning? Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we're going to turn the volume up.
Baby ovens, they need
Can we turn the volume up?
Yeah, because can you guys hear that all right out there?
Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
It sounds so quiet up here.
We can't hear anything behind the speakers.
Exactly. So, you guys are hearing it? All right. Full screen? All right. The people get what they want.
Oh, someone up front said a little more volume. Okay.
Here we go. Number 2.
Modern lady.
There's 2 things that go inside vaginas: penises and anything a company can sell you. Where did it all start? Douches.
Okay, Mom, which hand has the newest idea on douches? Wrong. 2 Massengill vinegar and water douches?
That's 2 douches too many. Did you know the inside of our baby ovens are self-cleaning? Yeah, but sometimes the outside of our baby ovens, they need a little extra special care.
Feel fresh every day with Vagisil Feminine Wash. Soap-free, it cleanses and freshens. Confidence when you need it most.
You have to have clean lady parts so you can have the confidence to hug your boyfriend. And hugging your boyfriend is the least of your problems. What if your junk was malfunctioning on the most important day of your life?
When you have an intense feminine itch, this is the last place you want your itch cream to fail.
Yeah, but the first place I want my itch cream to fail? A crotch scratching competition. Your vagina is being assaulted at all times. Yeast infections, toxic shock, HPV, cervicitis, bacterial vaginosis, Colin Farrell. There are so many things that could go wrong with your vagina. How could you alone possibly figure out what's going on down there?
Many women think they have a yeast infection. The Vagisil screening kit tests for vaginal infections at home.
If it's yellow, it means yeast infection. But if it's black, it means bubonic plague. But when your vagina's not under the weather, she wants to kick back, open some beers, and have a little fun with a personal massager.
Have you seen the latest Trojan massager, the Vibrating Mini?
Really? They've got a new one out?
Yeah, it's very powerful and you can...
Wow.
Did your nail have an orgasm? And then there's this.
It's the new Trojan Vibrating Triforia Massager.
Isn't that the massager they say is so much better it'll blow your hair back?
Okay, who got me the Triforia? That would be from me.
No, wait! That one's from me.
Well, it looks like she's gonna have 3.
Did you guys just use these and then put them back in the box? Because that's gross. Then there are fun things for your vagina that have no purpose whatsoever. Things like vajazzling, where you crystallize your nether regions, vatuing, where you get temporary tattoos on your nether regions, and billboards, where you can make extra money by advertising new films on your nether regions. I made the last one up, but the other 2 are real. All of this can be overwhelming and expensive. So my accountant says the only way to offset the cost of all these vagina products is to start a business out of my vagina. Come on down to Erin's Vagina Depot, where the 10 meets a 405. Our prices are so low, we're practically giving it away. Come and get it, y'all.
You can check out more Infomania every Thursday night at 11:10 Central, only on Current TV.
Give it up for Erin Gibson, everybody. All right. Let's pass it now to Katie Halper. Give it up for her.
Hi, guys. So I'm going to show a video that's not actually quite as satirical as I usually make my videos. You'll see in a couple of minutes. But I just wanted, I guess, to talk a little bit about what sometimes happens with satire, which is that even your liberal audience doesn't get it, which is really amusing and frustrating at the same time, because they'll spend like their entire day responding to your blog post, thinking that somehow you got past all the editors at whatever progressive blog you're at. And so this one that we're going to see, can you pull up the one on my website so I had written a post about, you guys know the Pence Act that's attempting to defund Planned Parenthood. So I wrote, yeah, we can clap for it. So I wrote this post, the top 10 names for the pro-life, pro-cancer, pro-UTI, that's uterine tract infection. Urinary tract infection, sorry. Uterus on the mind. Because of Planned Parenthood. Anti-Planned Parenthood amendment. And then if you go down, I just had all these names for it, which I can't read from here, but
Wireless, want to come over here?
Sure. Yeah, I like standing at a podium anyway, because whatever. I teach. Oh, okay. And my major point was that like 3% of, you guys probably all know this, like good progressives, and we're pro-choice anyway, but 3% of Planned Parenthood's budget, 3% of Planned Parenthood's budget goes to
all right, back to this one.
You see, we're the voiceless. Speaking truth to power, trying to. But only 3% of Planned Parenthood's budget goes to abortion, and the rest, 97, go to things like you have cramps or you have a urinary tract infection. So I wanted to get that across, so I had like different names for this amendment, like the anti-pap test amendment, the pro-HPV and genital warts bill, the pro-life, pro-cervical cancer bill, the anti-mammogram bill, the pro-life, pro-breast cancer bill, the pro-HIV and all other STDs amendment, the pro-unwanted pregnancy bill, the anti-fertility bill, the anti-general health care bill, and the pro-UTI bill. So I did this blog post, and then it was, you guys know Andy Cobb? Any of you know him? He's a great comedian and satirist, and he works with Second City. So I told him about this, and I wanted to do a video, but I couldn't get any money to produce it. And so it was really cool, and we just, over the internets, conspired. And then he, from his end in LA, made this video. That's not, again, as satirical as the post, but it's more modern more recent than the other stuff I've done. So I want to show you this one.
So, lights, please.
Hello, I am a woman. I'm a woman.
Whoops. What the?
Again, trying to speak truth to power and being sabotaged. Not by him.
Hello, I am a woman. I'm a woman.
I'm a woman. A female of the species.
You can tell because of the whole vagina having thing.
Often, American women depend on Planned Parenthood.
For medical care.
It's like doctors and stuff.
Otherwise, many women can't afford basic care.
They help women, period.
Period.
It's come to my attention,
As a woman,
That there are people who would like to stop funding for Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
Okay.
People can believe what they want.
But if you're a man who doesn't care about women's sexual health, then that is duly f***ing noted.
And there's nothing less hot than a man who doesn't care about vaginas.
My vagina,
For your intents and purposes,
is off the table.
Period.
Period. I'm not saying that people who oppose basic funding for women's health care can go f*** themselves.
But as far as I'm concerned,
they won't have any other options.
Vagina havers, does your sexual partner support vaginas? If not, tell him how he can go get fucked. Alone.
Second City, they have their stuff together, man. Trying to get people to go to their videos. Smart stuff. Guess that's why they're the Second City. All right, give it up for Katie Halper, everybody. And now, please put your hands together for Mr. Elon James White.
Hey, so I'm a Negro, and I don't have a vagina like the other three, but sometimes I say things, and men need a voice too. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Sorry. Much like Sarah, I kind of fell ass backwards into the whole thing. Because I am a Negro, I get asked to do Negro things sometimes, and so I threw this festival that had a lot of Negroes in it, and VH1 called me and they were like, "Hey, we want to have a meeting," and they asked me to create a black alternative to Best Week Ever, because they wanted to add like this Best Week Ever type thing to their Sunday night lineup where they put black people on and then they make them look like idiots, and then everyone goes, "This is hilarious," and they wanted something else to add to that. So I tried. I was like, "Oh, what could I do? What can I come up with that would be interesting?" And for a few months I just sat on it, and like I didn't really push. And one day I decided I should just do a test. I should just like try something out. And I came up with this thing. I called it This Week in Blackness. And I was like, and I'll talk about stuff, but like, you have to remember this happened September 08, like late August 08, September 08. And to be black in America was to be very political because you didn't have a fucking choice. Because everywhere I went, they were like, "So, what do you think about Obama, What is he going to do? Do you know what's going to happen in his plan? I'm not in his cabinet. Why are you asking me? I mean, we didn't go to a meeting and decide what was going to go down." And so this happened a lot. And so I start this web series, this thing. I'm like, I just gonna put it up just to test it out, and it's called This Week in Blackness. I put it up, and it's terrible. And I try again, I keep doing it, and I realize that the more stuff I do, I keep doing stuff that's very political because it's just what is coming down. It's what's being discussed in the news the most. And I throw it out there, and I'm just talking about stuff, trying to like make a point and to like clear things up, like from this black, quote unquote, black perspective. And all of a sudden, the Obama waffles come out. Do you guys remember Obama waffles? Yeah, some conservative conference decided that they were going to have Obama waffles with this big-ass Aunt Jemima-looking motherfucker that they had set up as Obama. And I freaked out. And so I do this episode, it's called Obama on Obama Waffles, and it happened that Friday, Saturday. I had it up like Sunday night by Monday morning, and then all of a sudden, all the liberal blogs all found it, and they all posted my response to Obama Waffles. And so it's all of a sudden it's on Crooks and Liars. Daily Coast gives it a shout out, and people are just it's starting to it catches I guess like wind that way. And then all of a sudden I get emails because like, "Hey, did you know that this professor showed your video in our class?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, that's not, what? And by the way, VH1 saw it. They was like, "This is hilarious. We can never use this." Because it's like, really, it's a random Negro going batshit crazy about politics. And it's like, why would we ever do this? This is not what sells. And it's true. And so over time, like I ended up like I just continued doing the web series, and I got like a lot of I guess people were very nice and kind, and I got more opportunities to speak on politics. And I realized all of a sudden that I couldn't get this show on VH1, but I was getting articles written about the topics that I was talking about via the videos. And so all of a sudden, yeah, I didn't have millions of views, but the 10,000 views I had were editors at newspapers. And all of a sudden, it was like people that were writing articles, and all of a sudden, I can make change via that. I can give information to groups of people that didn't know about the stuff that I was talking about. And so then I took that very seriously. I was like, oh, then cool. Then you mean like I can say something without waving my finger at someone. when I say it, people laugh and they go, okay, whereas someone else says it, they wait for it, it's like, well, F you can't tell me about my life. I say, they go, Elon's crazy. And we can actually start a conversation. And I feel like that's what we do. When you use humor and satire in this, I feel like it's one of the best methods, especially within the progressive community, that isn't being used nearly as much as it should be. Like, the fact is that we all bitch and moan about how Democrats are off message and they can't get a message forward and they can't frame anything right. But then the people that frame things perfectly, you're afraid to work with. And it's ridiculous. And so, but like as of late, some orgs have actually started to come out. Like the ACLU asked me to do something. I did a video talking about the drop cards about what to do when you get stopped by cops. All of a sudden, like I get to go places and I bring it from a different perspective because because fact is another reason why I really feel like I have to do it is I say it again. I'm a Negro, and people are not expecting the Negro in the hoodie to say what I just said. And I feel like that's important because it changes the whole discussion. Because now you realize that your base is not only the white progressives that go out to the conferences. All of a sudden you realize, oh, there's a bunch of people that are paying attention and we should talk to them too and probably try to get them out there. And hopefully then we can actually have a united front when we go into these big battles. I have a dream. No, I'm kidding. So this particular video, this actually happened right around the midterm elections. We got beat. I mean, well, I'm sorry, not we. I don't know y'all. Dems got beat, and around the same time, George Bush drops his book, and he goes on record saying that the most embarrassing moment in his life was when the worst part of his pregnancy. So much vaginas. The worst part of his presidency was when Kanye West called him out. I saw that, and I then had a response. That's what you're about to see now.
Lights, please. Isn't this full screen? Calm down.
Mine's HD. It's letterbox.
Hi, my name is Elon James White, and you are now watching This Week in Blackness. What's going on, folks? We are back. Episode 12, Season 3 of This Week in Blackness. Yes. We're keeping this black train moving, so we're going to jump right into it. Let's do it. So in an interview for his upcoming book, George W. Bush actually stated that the worst moment of his presidency was when Kanye West said that he did not care about black people. That was the worst moment of your presidency, when a rapper said you didn't care about black people? That's it? That wasn't even the worst moment in the week leading up to that moment. People being left on rooftops, not having food, water, homes destroyed. That's not so bad. Being criticized by a rapper, totally bad. Being told you don't care about Negroes, bad. Not actually helping Negroes, not so bad. That's fine. That's good. We're good with that. What about like 9/11 and then the 2 wars we got into after that? That seemed pretty bad. Kanye was the worst moment. Really? Does he know that people thought and actually still think right now he should be brought up on war crimes? Well, I guess being negligent in starting wars isn't so bad, right? You know, I used to think that George W. Bush was stupid. And I think I might have been wrong. You know, I think me and him just aren't coming from like the same places. You know, like I'm from Brooklyn and he's obviously from another fucking planet. Kanye? How much sense does it make that George W. Bush is actually an alien? Come on. It's not that he didn't care about black people's lives or poor people's lives or American lives. He actually just didn't care about the lives of Earthlings. You know what, now I think I feel better about his presidency. That was a complete and total lie. I still hate everything about it. I know I didn't mention the midterms or the shellacking the Democrats took, but since the media doesn't want to acknowledge the misinformation that led to the shellacking, I don't think I have to actually acknowledge the shellacking. What about that?
Give it up for Mr. Elon James White, everybody. Katie wanted to add something here.
Forgot totally to talk about what I do with a bunch of other people, which is this thing called Laughing Liberally. How many of you guys know or have been to a Drinking Liberally? Yay, drinking. So Laughing Liberally, I started with Justin Krebs, who started Drinking Liberally. It's part of this liberally empire. We have Drinking Liberally, Eating Liberally, Screening Liberally, Laughing Liberally. Elon's performed with Laughing Liberally. And I think it speaks really to what you were saying, Matt, about keeping the choir kind of active and peppy and engaged, because lots of times we're accused of, preaching to the choir, which when you're performing in Alabama, you're actually not. But when you're performing in New York City, you are, maybe, depending on which neighborhood you're in. But I think it's a really important thing to do in terms of making politics fun. Like that's, I actually think, what the big point of political comedy is. I think satire has a specific role within that, which is pointing things out in a way that's original and that's easier to digest than, like you said, Elon, than someone like pointing their finger at you and being self-righteous and telling you how to see it. But I think that political comedy, what's great about that is that it can actually build fun activities around a progressive movement where you meet other people and then maybe you then go out and do the pavement pounding work, right? I don't think, like you were saying, it's not the end in itself, but I do think it's a really important part of a larger culture. And if we don't have fun on the left, then I think that's how we can win, because we're much better people and more fun people and funnier people than the right. Because right? And also, in order to be funny, you have to be empathetic, which is why the right wing isn't funny. And I have a controlled experiment about that, which is Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller used to be kind of funny, and then he turned right wing, and he's not funny because he just looks really angry. And like you think that some girl broke his heart once, and now he's a misogynist or something, and that's responsible for all of his political change. Like there's something weird, and it feels like you're watching a therapy session, not comedy. But we can talk hopefully more about this question of satire, but I just wanted to bring that up because I forgot to talk about it. So Laughing Liberally, political comedy. Okay, thanks.
So I turned off the screen because I'm actually going to do something a little different here. So that is what we do as comedians and satirists. You guys see it. You guys knew it before. This ain't rocket science. But so what we're gonna what we were talking about this before the panel. We've been to a lot of panels. We've all come and watched them. One thing we kind of disliked is the fact that people will yak and yak and yak and then never get to the audience. So the simple truth is we could try to talk more, but we have a giant room full of people. We want to go right out to you guys. There's going to be they're coming around with a microphone for you. Another way you can ask questions, because this is a social media era. You can @reply me. I have my tweet deck open, so if you have a question and the microphone's not getting to you, tweet it to me. Again, @Matt Filipowicz. And we're gonna go right out to you guys, and let's make this as interactive, and let's talk to you guys. So who has a question? You do. All right. Is someone from the conference gonna help out with this at all? I think we have a runner as well. So.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kamala Lopez. Does it work? Hello, hello. Oh, yeah. Is it on?
Can you guys hear her? All right.
I'm Kamala Lopez with Heroica Films, and I'm launching the new national campaign to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And I'm gathering a team of very funny writers to help me on it. I'm going to be making 20 PSAs, about 1 minute to 3 minutes long, sketch comedies. And I wanted to invite you all to participate with me.
You're working with Jocelyn Hughes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, great. She told me about it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Thank you.
Talk to us after the panel. Yeah. So the answer is yes. Next question right there.
Oh, hey. I watch a lot of Comedy Central, which kind of blows, and I was wondering where I could tap into the feminist and progressive comedy circuit online.
Oh, like not on TV?
Or on TV, but
well, there's nothing on.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
So where else can I find
Well,
Infomania.
I mean, I think Jezebel is a pretty good place that kind of like they'll have like tidbits. I like the word tidbits from the South of bits and pieces. I don't think that there is a. Do you know of a specific site that's like progressive female comedy, just all videos?
No. Yet. I would say, there's a site, a wonderful site called, it's called Glock, Gorgeous Ladies of Comedy, which was started by Glennis McMurray, who's a fantastic comic out of UCB in New York. So I would check out Glock, Gorgeous Ladies of Comedy, which is really great. And I blog for indecisionforever.com. And it's interesting because you bring up something interesting. Comedy Central is run by a woman. The president of the network is a female. And but what they will generally say to you is, and I'm not talking out of school or anything here. I mean, I work for them, but what they will say to you is, well, our audience is men 18 to 30, and that's who we market to. And so they're making all of those decisions because they want to sell PlayStations to man children. And I know you know that, and because I see the light of sad recognition in your eyes where you're like, I know.
Something though about that, I feel this has been my experience in entertainment. Oftentimes when they say, but our audience is male, it's not 100% male. You watch Comedy Central, I watch Comedy Central, you watch Comedy Central. If there's a majority of men watching it, 60%, they ignore the 40% that are women. It's a really weird thing. I've experienced it firsthand. Like, I've oftentimes made the arguments in joke meetings where someone says, well, but guys won't get it. And I go, oh, well, then we should always make sure that when you do a sports joke that I remind you that 40% of our audience won't understand this joke. Like, it's a generalization I'm using it reversed on them, but like, I would like to see actual statistics from Comedy Central to see how it skews, because I'm sure it's a majority of male, but I think a majority of men watch TV, period, because I don't know. We're busy. We got laundry and making eggs. Yeah.
Wait,
I just wanted to say it's oftentimes not the case, yeah.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, I just like talking when I don't have
okay. So I think an interesting kind of, this is related to it, which is the question of women in comedy. And it was really funny because Jon Stewart got in some trouble because of a Jezebel article that talked about the lack of female comedians and writers. And it was, I thought the funniest thing about the whole thing was the response that he got from basically his female staff. It was basically Jon Stewart, like, I love you, Jon Stewart, give me a job, but I'm just going to say something slightly critical because I know he's seeing this broadcast, right? Oh, yeah. Obviously. But I like to think roughly, but okay. So I think of the women who worked for him came out and they were like, we love Jon Stewart, he's not sexist. And it was like Sarah Smith Wardrobe, like Lorena Martin Crafts or whatever, service, yeah. So and then there's this it's a self-perpetuating it's this prophecy, right? Because self-fulfilling prophecy, because you then have fewer females on television. And I actually saw this woman speak at an event for women in comedy. She raised her hand. She was like, well, okay, you guys are funny, female comedians, but like the people on TV are men, so maybe men are just funnier, which is like the worst reasoning ever and can clearly lead to like lots of racist, sexist, like everything is thinking if you just point to the representation and then deduce that that's based on talent. And a really interesting, just like aside, but I think very related thing is that men and women, straight men and straight women, both, I was reading this study, it's not too long, don't worry, both say that they look for a sense of humor in their partners, but that for a woman that means someone who makes them laugh, and for a man that means someone who laughs at their jokes, which I think is like a really telling anecdote about how comedy is sanctioned when it comes from men, and there really is a safe space for men to be funny in a way that it doesn't exist for women to be funny, which is not biological, right? Nature versus nurture.
I'm not going to jump on the women side of things, but what I will say, you say where can you find progressive or female comedy? The fact is that you're not going to find it at a network. You have to get over that. But the fact is that like we're at a place, we're talking about media reform. There's a bunch of places out there that you can find the type of stuff that you want to watch to entertain yourself. But the point is that people aren't looking for it hard enough. And when they do go there, they're not supporting it hard enough so that those people can continue making the work that they're doing. When she said she wanted to do this video, she couldn't do the video. She couldn't get the funding for it. Why is that? Why in the world is it possible that right wing can do anything they want? Anything. They can come up with all sorts of money. But for some reason, when we try to do things and we have to eat as artists, all of a sudden, oh, yeah, I don't know about that. Man, I wish we could find stuff. Oh, we're not willing to put money towards it, though. That's hard. That's hard.
We don't have Koch brothers funding us. We need you guys to be our Koch brothers. Be our Koch brothers and sisters, really. Actually, so what we'll do now, let's, while you find somebody else with a question, I'm going to go to our first Twitter question of the day, so go ahead and find someone next. Our Twitter question of the day is from Meg Tatey. Is it hard to be funny? That's how, is it hard to be funny? Who wants to take that?
Meg, do you have a dysfunctional family? I think, I mean, we were talking about this before. Like it's hard to do this if you haven't had tragedy or something in your life and had to like kind of pull yourself out of it using comedy. And this is gonna sound really arrogant. It's not hard to be funny if you're funny. It's like it's kind of like saying like, is it hard to be a white Irish girl? I mean, it is innate. It's like singing. It's a thing, right? Like you're good or you're. I mean, it's also subjective because we all do. I mean, I'm sure I could do my thing at a fraternity and get booed or people call me disgusting or whatever. But I mean, then I'll flash my boobs and everything will be okay. I don't know. Do you think it's instinctive?
Hey, actually, I'm gonna combine a question onto this because there's another one. So, Films for Action asks, how do you learn to be funny? So you can't
learn to be funny. You have to be fucking funny because some crazy shit happened to you, like in a woodshed with your uncle when you were 5, and the only thing you can do to feel better about yourself is to get on a stage in front of strangers and tell them jokes that you wrote in your house while you were crying. Like you must be fucked up in some way. And like I have incredibly like loving family, like nuclear family, like awesome, role models and women working hard in my family and men working hard in my family and all the support in the world. I mean, my parents are here. What the fuck? But like, I've dealt with my own, struggles with mental illness. Surprise! And out of that came the drive for me to do comedy. Like something has to be wrong with you. I mean, Katie's got a great fucking cool ass, badass family, like super progressive. I'm just gonna talk about your family. Like she's a red diaper baby. And yet something's wrong with this bitch because she's doing comedy.
I was gonna say, I don't want people to like now run out and like try to provoke a relative to do something to them in a woodshed or something. So I feel like we have to be a little bit. No, but I think what you're saying is true. I think a lot of people come to like have some pathos, right? And that's what makes them good comedians. They have some experience in their life. But I also think that if you're lucky enough to not be, have major issues, then luckily, thank God for small favors, like the world is fucked up enough that all you have to do is look around, right? So like, thank God that we have people like Bush or what am I doing? Like, let's be honest, anyone who's in the presidency, right? But thank God that we have all these tragedies because like, I know I'll make jokes about like, I have a Darfur joke. Like, I'm not going to share it, but the point is, and punchline does not involve making fun of like the people in Darfur, right? It's about our obliviousness, right? And our lack of engagement about it, right? But I think that if you don't have your own personal trauma, and again, it wasn't hard for me to fall into this. I actually got into political comedy when I was in college, and the war started, and I like gave a speech in the voice of George Bush, basically, in front of the school. It wasn't hard for me to fall into this. Like, I didn't rebel. I mean, I give you props for coming from a Republican father, and I give the Republican father props for coming here because this is like, which we couldn't do. We couldn't go to like a right-wing thing because we'd be like tarred and feathered. But I think that so like there's meta trauma that you can turn into comedy, even if you haven't experienced something. But it's a similar thing. Like you're moved and you're angry and you're disturbed by it, and then. Like in terms of whether it's hard to be funny, I think it can also be really therapeutic and cathartic because like you want to laugh instead of cry. That's what we say about laughing liberally a lot, right? Like there are these things that are going on, and if you can actually turn them into something that you laugh at, like that's a great thing, without being insensitive.
I'd like to. I like to. Go ahead, Erin. Go ahead.
We're being so polite.
I know. No, you.
Okay. Let me say this. If you are interested in comedy, there are tons of great places where you can, if you feel like you have something, a talent or sensitivity to it, go to UCB Theater, go to Improv Olympic, go to Second City, go to the Groundlings, find a place where you have people who you have a shared sensibility with, and hone that skill. Like, no one's born understanding how to do setup, punchline. You know, it's something that's learned and practiced, and you have to fail a bunch of times. So there are places where you can hone your innate talent.
Adding on top of that, like I think if you look at comedy and like if comedians that you really like, a lot of it is comedians that you like have a distinct voice, and that's like any art. It's trying to find some kind of a distinct voice, and that's as a comedian or any type of artist, what you want to do is hone your craft. So my advice to you is just do it. If you think you're funny and if you want to do it. Do it. Like if you live in a big city, Chicago, LA, New York, you can go to somewhere like the UCB and take an improv class. If you don't, because there's a lot of people maybe live in other places, you know what? There might be a coffee house open mic that you can go do something at to try it out. You also, we're media reformers. Hello, internet. We all have webcams on our things. You can make a funny web video. The technology exists for next to nothing. You can make a funny podcast. Yeah, the thing is, don't limit yourself to set opportunities. And again, the gateways, the old gatekeepers are gone. And that's what we all know about this. The way the media is now, we're crashing the damn gates down, and that's what we're here for. And it's the same thing with any type of art, any type of comedy. Just friggin' do it, and it's gonna and allow yourself to be shitty initially, because you're gonna suck a little bit. You're gonna allow yourself, like this man right here. He's horrible. He's awful. No, like allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to experiment and fail, like any good art. Because what you want to do is develop your voice, and it's gonna take trial and error to develop your voice. And then once you develop your voice, get it out there and cultivate an audience. And yeah.
Yeah, I would also like to say, for those of you, how many of you are not from Boston? Okay, great. That's great. So Boston has a ton of amazing comedy resources, but if you're from Austin, Texas, there's amazing comedy there. If you're in the Triangle, the Research Triangle in North Carolina, DSI Comedy Improv is incredible. The Michigan Gay and Lesbian Comedy Festival in Dearborn this year was pretty rockin', I heard. There are lots of places, like in whatever state you're in, there are people who are funny, who are dying to get their voice out there. Start your own thing. I mean, the only reason that I have any career in comedy is because of YouTube. And based on that, I mean, my editor at Comedy Central for indecisionforever.com lives out in the Midwest. The internet has opened it up so much, so you have that opportunity if you want it.
All right, let's get to some more questions. We're gonna go back to Twitter, but we're gonna go Twitter live, because I don't want to discriminate against you who don't have Twitter. We're not against discriminating. Who has the next question down there?
For those of us that are very print-oriented, can you please walk us through individually how high-tech or how low-tech you are as far as soundtrack or production or camera work? Do you do this by yourselves, or do you have teams? And you may all have different approaches, but I'm so print-oriented, I really don't know how you do this, if you could address that.
Yeah, I have a camera that it's ancient by camera standards. It's from January of 2008 when I got it from MTV when I was working for them. And so it's just a little camera. It's a little consumer camera. And I set it up with a tripod, and I used to, I used to have my friends take the lampshades off of lamps and hold lamps to light my face. As time went on and I made more money, I have a lighting kit and everything. But, you know, you can set it up and shoot in a place with natural light or with good light, and then you can teach yourself iMovie. I used to edit on something else, but I use iMovie now. It's super easy. And you just kind of mess around with it and teach yourself. And then it's really, I mean, it's free to get a YouTube account. Twitter accounts are free. Formspring accounts are free. Facebook accounts are free. Don't get a MySpace account. Foursquare is free. Like, all these different resources are free. So just invest some money in a camera and go for it.
Before I did Infomania, I had a web series called Roommating, and we shot it on a DVX 100, which is a prosumer camera, and we had two prosumers, like in between consumer and professional. It's a hybrid word, and they're fairly inexpensive on Craigslist, and 2 lights, 2 lavs. For this show, I'm lucky enough to be a part of a bigger production, so it's a green screen, which you can also get very cheap. And you could do so much with green screen now. You can, I mean, it's amazing, and it's really inexpensive. And if you want something to look nice, and you don't want your Nirvana poster in the background, I'm making assumptions. Everyone likes Nirvana, right? You can use something like that. And iMovie's great if you want to get something a little more complicated. Final Cut is a great project or a program, and honestly, like, I taught myself how to use all this stuff. I'm not great at it, but I can poke around and do some things. But if you buy an editing keyboard, that can help you. But my point is like, I mean, do you feel this way? Like, you buy the stuff and you kind of fail a bunch of times, and there's tons of tutorials on YouTube. Tons. You can learn how to do anything, and they're really clear, and they can teach you how to do all this production work. Yeah.
Also, I mean, I want to pass this to you because you do a lot of video, but I just wanted to say that you can, like, a lot of it is related to the style and the intention behind it. Like, if you're going for a professional style, then you want to do that well. Mm-hmm. But I have a friend named Lee Camp who does these videos called, like, A Moment of Clarity, and they're just images and then text, and anyone could do them, and I'm not berating him. I mean, they're funny. The point is, though, that doesn't attempt to be a high production value thing, and it's successful because it's doing what it sets out to do. So you can also do it in a way that requires a lot less money and technology. So don't be discouraged if you feel like you can't, have a green screen or whatever.
There's 2 parts of what I'm going to say to you. One, a lot of orgs, I see sometimes happens that what they'll do is like, oh, you're right, that is a good idea. And so then they go and they get their intern to go out, and then they go get a camera, and then they shoot something, and it's fucking terrible because that's not what they do. So before I say, oh, this is what I do, you have to also understand where you are within the spectrum of things. If you have a something that you want to get out there, a point you want to make, a campaign you want to push, sometimes it's just best to go to the people that do that, and then you do your part and let them do their part. But now if you actually are something like, I have a voice, I want to do this, I can make the point. That's a completely different argument. Now, in my circumstances, I'm an asshole. So and my girlfriend loves me. So no, not because. And so when I decided I was going to do this, like, I really hated the concept of people sitting in their living room with a camera on them and just talking. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, I'm not going to listen to you just because you're doing that. That was me. And so what I did, like, if you see that, I've had people bring me into meetings and go, so what studio did you rent? I'm like, it's my living room. Because, but I also took half my living room, made it into a studio. I have lights connected to my wall that I built. I bought work lights, and I got like a bathtub a handle, and I put it on the wall, and I hang lights from it so that I have a full light screen. I built a rig to hold lights against the wall so that the green screen is lit well. And then I bought a lav. I just Googled like, how do people have good sound? It's like, oh, they have a lav to the thing. And so I just bought it, and I sat there, and when I got to look at real studios, I just decided I'm going to emulate this. And then when I did it, for me personally, because of what I'm doing, as a large Negro yelling around politics, I feel like I have to look very good doing it, because if I don't look good, then it's just like there's a large Negro yelling about politics. And so, but a well-produced large Negro yelling about politics, now we have to listen. Huh? Huh? All right.
All right, cool. We're gonna go back to Twitter, and hey, comedians. I know we're comics. We like to talk. We have a lot of questions. A lot of people with arms. Let's try to make them brief to get to as many as we can. So get ready for our next questioner from Twitter user Hollywood. Do you and the other panelists feel your comedy goes over the heads of youth, and how do you engage youth?
What I do is specifically targeted towards them. I do, like, not only do I do a web series, I also do a daily podcast radio show called Blacking It Up. And it's me. I have this young lady. She's like a deaf poet, like 5 times. She was on HBO. And we come together and we do the show. And it's specifically in a voice that is aimed at getting people that wouldn't pay attention to what we're talking about to pay attention to what we're talking about. Because if I sat there and I got all wonky on the show, who the fuck would care? But I'm not trying, like, I understand the concept of preaching to the choir because we have to keep them happy. I believe in it, but at the same time, I believe that the people we have to get are the people who aren't paying attention, or the people who aren't going to sit there and watch MSNBC for 15 hours in a row and get all upset. I have to get those people. So then I have to go in there and talk to them like people, not like policy wonks or whatever. And so I go in there and I target towards them. I make references that they get. A lot of times I refer to Obama dropping a hot 16. And that is something that, like, and people get what I'm saying when I say that to them. And I feel like almost with what we do, I mean, no one here knows what a hot 16 is. But the fact is that I feel like I have to speak to them. I have to talk to these people because that's who I care about bringing over. That when I want them to laugh and I want them to care, I'm looking at them, not the people who are already agreeing with me.
I'd add to that about youth. Some of the things I do, I make cartoons, so I don't know how much younger you can get than that. I mean, I don't know, animations, that's an old stereotype. But I think kids are smarter than you give them credit for oftentimes. And, like, they may not, like, get everything, but again, it's one of those things where, like, they'll get it eventually. And I think you want to, like, people who talk down to children, like, how you doing, kid? You know, they hate that. And it's talk, I mean, you know, again, talk to them like they're smart, and they'll get smarter. So I'd say treat kids smarter, and they'll become smarter. Anyone have anything else to add to this question? No. Moving on. Where's our next? You got it over there. All right.
How you doing? Thanks a lot, guys. It's a terrific panel so far. It's been a great session. I think one of the things that you said, about, like, women in comedy, I could name 100 funny women, but I'm not sure I can name a funny conservative. You know, like maybe the guys on the Blue Collar tour, maybe that guy Ron White might be a little funny sometimes. I love that guy. Yeah, he is funny. I have to give him his props, but there's not too many of them. After that, the list gets real tiny. Yeah. But one of the things I was thinking about, I'm a comedy writer too, and I was thinking that it's a lot easier to do comedy out of truth than it is to make up a lie. And if you're one of those people who has asshole friends who send you right-wing crap, right, like it starts with Obama being a Muslim or something. I try to be objective, and it's just not funny. So I'd like to. It's like I remember just from Colin and all those guys growing up. Great comedy comes out of truth. It doesn't come out of just bullshit. I mean, I make up insane stuff sometimes. It's funny, but the best comedy comes out of truth. And listening to you guys and some of the things you put up there, it's all out of truth. It's just like Erin said. You know, she goes, all I have to do is point and say, look. This is funny, man, you know, and just do a little intro to it, and it's like truth makes it funny. I just want to get a good some feedback on that. I think it's a good topic. Truth really helps comedy.
What?
You want to talk about bachelors?
Oh, well, no, I wasn't going to. I was going to. You want to do it first, or? Well, quickly.
No, go.
I think that that's true, and I think that I said before, empathy is really important, and I think that they're related, and I think that what makes a good comedian is someone who's observant, and so they kind of interpret truth, but they also care about it. So I think it's that combination of like looking at what's really happening, caring enough about what's really happening, and also caring about people. Like I think you're just not funny if you don't care about people. I think that describes a lot of conservatives. Sorry to your dad. Okay, a lot, not all. But I think that that's a big thing. It's like, and of course it's true when I think the lying thing is related to how much you. Like, I think there's a lot of hate behind the lies about Obama. So, again, I think it's a question of empathy versus hate. And the hatred makes not funny comedy and very good talk radio. Because when you're lying and you're oversimplifying, you have really great sound bites, and you don't care about being at all nuanced or analytical. That's why the left doesn't have talk radio under its, dominion. But we do have comedy. Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah, I would disagree to an extent. I think, I still think Dennis is funny. I don't agree with what Dennis says, but I still think he's funny. I'm like, shake your head and say, babe. I know that you guys don't think so because you're all fucking bedwetting liberals, and so am I. But, there are some people, like Larry the Cable Guy, he can do some really strong stuff about diarrhea, guys. He does some really great stuff. And I think the thing is that, a lot of, conservatives do care about people. They just don't care about the same people we care about. And I think
Rich people is who they care about.
And I think it also depends on, I think also another thing is we think that people who agree with us are funny most of the time. So if someone doesn't agree with you, I'm not going to laugh. If I sit down with some racist who's dropping the N-bomb, I'm not going to think that's funny. But his friends are going to think it's fucking hilarious. So I think that it depends on what your belief system is. Most of the time we're not going to laugh. Once in a while I can laugh when somebody gets off a good liberal joke, but most of the time I'm not going to be amused because it's not what I believe. I think that we tend to be amused by that which we believe. And, especially if you are, if you align yourself with a particular ideology, as I openly do, I'm a feminist and stuff. There's some shit I'm just not going to think is funny. Like some guy punching his girlfriend in the face by accident. I'm not like, that's hilarious. That is the funniest YouTube video ever. She should have ducked and she didn't. Or, the Whitest Kids You Know movie, the trailer, which was whatever the fuck that movie was, where that girl gets they're like, oh, a hooker accidentally got thrown out the window of a moving bus. Fuck you, motherfucker. I don't like that. But if I was some dumbass piece of shit, I'd probably think it was funny.
Yeah. To add to that, what you were saying about Ms. March, yeah, that was it. But comedy, it's funny to bring this back to a media thing here. Comedy is, in fact, good comedy is. Thank you. Good comedy is based on truth. And again, one of the horrible things that comes to the way the media is now is there isn't really truth anymore. We all know this. There's this false equivalency that comes around. So what we have is to a racist and a sexist people who hates women, a woman flying off a truck is hysterical because they hate women and they're a horrible person. So for horrible people, yeah, it's true to them. But again, I think the trick is to accept that dynamic and then go forward and try to again, we all know, again, it's media reform. We're all here to bring the truth. Try to get the truth wider, and then comedy. I don't know, comedy will be better. I don't know. Maybe not. It's still pretty good now, but it'll be more spread. I don't know. Let's go back to Twitter, folks. Yeah, and then we'll get ready to her. So the question here is, because I actually think this is an interesting question. How do you decide to satirize people and groups you agree with politically, but are still rich targets? The rich targets thing, I'm personally, I'll criticize Democrats till the cows come home because when they're failing, and I think they deserve it. But what is the? But then people, and you're shaking your head, so maybe you disagree. So what is the line you cross? Is there a line as comedians? Because it's different for people. I've had this conversation before. What are your lines for people who maybe you overall sort of agree with, but are doing the wrong thing?
Well, I think that it's entirely possible to do that. For me, my audience is you guys. So I'm probably not going to do stuff that you wouldn't like. You know, I'm not going to spend a length trying to convince you that Dennis is still funny because you're like, no, he's not funny. He's terrible. That's cool. Buy tickets to my show. Fine. I'll like jerk you off and do whatever I need to do. Metaphorically, not literally, if that's what's going to, you know, I've got an audience and I need to play to it. But I think that, you know, with this audience, like we're pretty ideologically pretty leftist. So you're not going to laugh at some of that shit. So I'm not going to do it here. If you stick me in a room full of conservatives, which believe it or not, I've been paid to do, I know, I'm probably going to do a little bit more of that. But it's going to be stuff that I think is funny that I agree with. And I'm going to make fun of them too. But am I going to tell them they're all assholes? No, because A, they're not all assholes. And B, then they won't give me my check. So here's the thing, guys. It's I think that if you love some group of people but you see flaws with them, and I think a lot of us love the progressive movement, and a lot of us see flaws in the progressive movement, do it lovingly. Make the jokes lovingly. Make them come from a happy place, a loving place, an encouraging place. Because, like I think Katie was saying, when the humor comes from a place of hate, like that those Obama forwards we get from our grandparents' AOL addresses, that are like, he likes watermelon, isn't that funny? And you're like, I want to kill myself and you, grandma. Not my grandma, but other people's grandmas. You know, when it comes from a place of hate, it's not funny, it's upsetting. So my advice would be to satirize your own, the people you love, satirize them with love. The same way you would make fun of a relative that you love very much.
No, I agree with you 100%.
I think that there's a difference between satirizing progressives for being progressive, which I don't think I would ever do, and most of us probably wouldn't, and satirizing them for not being progressive enough, right?
Right.
So that's the question I think that we really encounter. And I think that lots of people are like, oh, well, we have priorities, right? Like we could be making fun of Obama for, you know, not being good enough on health care, or progressive, or going for universal health care, right? But shouldn't we be going after Boehner instead, because his name's Boner, first of all? And by the way, if he were a Democrat, do you know how much the Republicans would be talking about that? Every Republican would in Congress would be calling him Boner. Like, there's no question in my mind. 90% of them. But I think that that's actually a hard question. I think there's nothing wrong per se. I think actually that's how we can be, you know, hopefully move and keep Obama to the left, maybe, is through doing that. But then it is hard because the right wing, like the racist attacks on Obama, which I think they're almost all related to that, make you that much more protective, and then like you don't want to touch him. At least that's how I feel. So that's kind of a different issue. But I think that, yeah, satirizing your own is good. But again, I would never satirize them for being too progressive. Like, God forbid that were, you know, my problem.
You're trying to do good, aren't you? Hysterical. Yeah, no, that's not funny.
Everybody's a target. I'm sorry. I'm not protecting anyone. Obama at the moment has the best pass for me simply because the other side goes so batshit crazy at him that I feel like that if I throw in to critique him, then all of a sudden I'm just now a part of the wave. That's about it. Everyone else, like, and especially, you have to understand that it always comes back to this. I'm a Negro, and the fact is I'm a Negro in the progressive community. So there's a lot of times I'm watching progressives going, hey guys, that's bullshit. You guys are saying some shit that's not cool from this perspective. And so I have to call bullshit on you guys. I have to call bullshit on them. I have to call bullshit on everybody. And that's my job. And that's the job I picked up. Because when someone asks me, bottom line, what do you do? I say, I call bullshit. And no matter if you're the ones throwing bullshit, I'm going to throw bullshit back at you.
Yeah. All right, let's go out to the audience here.
Hi, my name is Morgan. I study communication at Stanford. I'm a grad student, so that means that me and my lady parts like to read books. And one of the things I like to think about... What?
Lies.
One of the things I think about is how satire, particularly watching The Daily Show, which I've been doing for longer than I'd like to admit, has to do with criticizing the media and bringing about real change and media reform. I also worked at Media Matters, so this is very close to my heart, and which is not funny at all, sadly, not a funny place. I'm hoping that you guys can bring back and maybe crystallize a little bit how what you're doing is media reform and media critique, because you've done a really good job of talking about how what you're doing is political critique and could bring about political reform. So I'd like to see, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts about the media aspect of it.
I would really quickly. I would say that we are the, not to sound self-aggrandizing, but I would say that what we're doing is creating media in itself, right? So you can be involved in media reform without doing comedy that's about the media. But I actually think that lots of us do comedy about the media, and I think that Stewart and Colbert at their best are when they're calling out other media things, like Sean Hannity cheating with footage and stuff. And also, I mean, Colbert is the best example of someone whose entire shtick is based on a critique of a certain type of media, journalist, reporter, really pundit TV personality. But I do think that it's like a worthy endeavor to be making your own media too, right? Like there's critiquing the media by critiquing it, and then there's critiquing it by doing alternative media. So.
Well, I was going to say that Trojan ad that I made fun of played during my show on TV. So I have a lot of liberty through Current. They we make fun of commercials that air as payment to make our show. So yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't do it on purpose, but I thought it was cool. And I mean, you know, being able to call out commercials on a network that needs commercials to survive is definitely something that Current's all about, and I'm really lucky to be able to do that from the inside. You know, cross-platform, like, you know, can I tell you the opposite side of that, though? I don't have control over it, and someone told me today that they went and watched the Modern Lady piece on Planned Parenthood, and an ad for Michelle Bachmann came up before it. So it works both ways, but you know, as much control as I have over it, it's nice to know that I can call that stuff out. And I think specifically, like, you know, politically, there's a way to change things, but like reality, I get to talk about reality shows and you know, just even like take for example, like I'm sure everyone's gotten an email from someone in their family with soy causes cancer, or men are attracted to women who wear red, like weird studies and stuff like that. Like there's small pieces of things that the media does, like especially the way they speak to women, like this is what these are studies that we tell you about that are specifically angled on helping you get a man. And again, it's a piece that I'm putting together where if you put it all together, you see the trend and you see that they're doing it. So I think just existing and calling that stuff out, same thing, like no one wants to listen to someone yelling and going, you're doing the wrong thing, you're not handling it right. But if we can just be like, hey guys, be cool about it and check this shit out, it's kind of a less pressure-filled way to present things to people, you know, and the change is up to, you know, the viewers and whoever's watching it. I mean,
I agree in the aspect of the whole existing thing, but at the same time, like I believe a lot of us do things that are directly dealing with the concept of media reform. For example, like it's something I haven't really brought up here, but like I specifically have been working to create my own, I guess, like online network for the stuff that I believe in. So like I have the podcast that's going out. I have This Week in Blackness. It's all under the banner of like bcostudios.com. It's like we produce things that you won't hear through the other channels of things. And on these things, like especially the podcast, on a regular basis, I go through media and just challenge it. Like we have shot on back, like so, like we will just play the clips and just show, and like this is what you're paying for. This is the news. We had the at Stop Beck account holder, the guy who's now working for Media Matters as their campaign manager, on our show discussing the whole campaign that got Beck off the air, and I'm doing that through humor, I've gotten people to stop and pay attention. And after I got them to pay attention, then I said, hey, do you know that this is happening? Do you know that is happening? Like on our show, we actually stopped and discussed the whole concept of how when you pay your cable bill, there's like a 60-something% going to Fox. And like, are you okay with that? Like, that you don't believe in this stuff, but you're paying directly into their pockets. This is something that I've done, and I know a lot of people have actually pointed out in their campaigns through humor. And the idea is, like, I know right now we're talking a lot about politics, but the fact is that we're all working outside of the realm of what people are expecting us to work in. We're creating our own space. We're creating our own media in order to challenge the current media and what's currently being put forward. And by every time we do anything, when we come out and we do videos like this and we do that stuff, the very video existing is a challenge to the very form of media that's out there right now.
I'd like to add to that. Like Elon, I just launched my show a week ago, and I've interviewed Tim Carr, Bob McChesney, John Nichols, all these people talking about the media, and I've made net neutrality videos before and stuff. But I think you know, it's and again, this is one of the things where we're here, we're inspired by this. I'd imagine some of us going out from here are going to come through with ideas for stuff we're going to do beyond here. I mean, I have weeks of shows now because being here, I have these great conversations that I'm going to try to share with people. And oddly enough, though, it is actually now 5:30, and sadly, we're going to have to call this done to an end. Give it up for all the panelists, everyone. Give it up for Elon James White, Katie Halper, Erin Gibson, Sara Benincasa. If you guys did not get your question answered, please, I have a bunch in the tweets that I'll share with them, and they'll hopefully reply. I'll reply to you. Email us, contact us. We're hang out with us. We're here at the conference. Thanks so much, guys, and enjoy the rest of the conference.